Hello everyone, welcome back to another video on how to make a shoe by hand. So on this video I'll be showing you guys how to pivot a derby shoe. My last video on pivoting was how to pivot an house shoe, which is quite a bit different from the pivoting of a derby shoe. For an house shoe, we know we only have the tongue part, the wing part, that's the full vamp completely without no quarter. So on this video I'll be showing you guys how to pivot properly your derby shoe pattern. So first of all, you draw a straight line on a plain paper. Now the idea of always drawing a straight line on a plain paper is because in pivoting, like I said in our previous video on how to pivot, pivoting is the act of removing this curve on the pattern. When you draw your pattern on a last, be it a regular Oxford, so here we have an Oxford, so there's always this curve on the pattern. So for this derby as well, we can see the curve, and now with this curve we can't get the other side of the pattern. Can't get the other side of the pattern because we usually draw one part of the last when drawing pattern, but it's also good to also draw both sides of the last and you pivot them differently, but it's more advisable to pivot to draw on one side of the last, that's the outer side of the last, because we believe that side of the last it's slightly symmetrical to the other side of the last, that's the inner side of the last. So you draw the outside side of the last. So to pivot we have to remove this curve so we can be able to get the other part of the pattern. So that's why we have to draw a straight line, because with straight line we can be able to flip the pattern to get the mirrored side, but with this curve we can't do that. So to achieve that on a derby shoe, we know this curve fall around this part of this curve fall around this part of the shoe. This part is called the quarter, like the part that has the lace holes, it's called the quarter. Now this quarter is out of the picture. The sides that are usually pivoted are the vamp part of the shoe, which have the toe, the tongue and the wing of the shoe. So that's the part of pivoting. So to pivot this vamp part of the shoe, we have to remove this quarter from the pattern. Now to remove the quarter from the pattern, we just place the pattern on another part of the plain paper, and so here we have the quarter. So this quarter shoe, or this derby shoe, has a counter design around here, which is not a problem. It's not part of the pivoting. So here we have our quarter, right? So I'll just trace this out, joining all broken lines together. So you can either use a protractor, a French curve, or you can use your freehand. That's if you are good with drawing. I'm not so good at drawing, so I usually use my freehand most times. Okay. So here we have our quarter without the lasting allowance. So our pattern was cut just from the feather edge of the last without lasting allowance. Lasting allowance is not much of a big deal, so I just choose to exclude it from the video. So sorry about that. But for those of us that want to know more about lasting allowance, you can just leave a comment below the video and I'll make a video on how to get your lasting allowance. So now we have our quarter. So this was gotten from this, right? This was gotten from this. So now to pivot this other part of the shoe, this part of the shoe which is called the vamp part of the shoe, to pivot the vamp part of the shoe, we connect the pivoted point or the vamp point. So here's the vamp point. The vamp point is the point where the curve makes contact with a straight line, just like in physics. So when you have a curve like this and you draw a straight line under, so there's always a point where the curve makes contact with a straight line. That point on this pattern is called our vamp point, right? It's called our vamp point, and that's what we will be using now. So just place our pattern. Okay, we'll mark a point. So we mark a point on the paper and connect our vamp point to the point. Now once we do that, next thing we'll do is we watch the excess paper that are outside of the straight line and also on this other side of the straight line, and ensure it is equal. Now this brings us to this little sketch I just did here. Now this curve we see here, this is the curve. So we have the curve here on our pattern. Why this straight line I drew here? So this is the straight line under beneath it. Okay, so I can just do this. So I can just do this. So now once we have this like this, what we'll do next, we draw the wing part of our pattern and also the underlaying allowance. Now this underlaying allowance was drawn on the last because this is where the quarter will lay on the vamp part of the shoe. There's this allowance. The measurement of underlaying allowance is 1 centimeter or 10 mm. So here we have the underlaying allowance, and we also mark the perforated point where the quarter will lay on. So we'll do this as well. Now once we do this, next thing to do is we place our pen on this point, on a point here. Place our pen on a point here and gently turn it. Till the tip of this tongue is in line with the straight line. We don't have to watch, it doesn't have to be in line on this part. We just watch the tip of the tongue here being on the straight line. Then we draw the tongue. Now once we do that, we take this back to the original position, Alright, take it back to the original position and tweak it this way till the tip from the toe also touches the straight line. Then we can draw the toe of the pattern. Now we have to extend this a little bit because they are supposed to connect, so I'm just going to do that. Alright, so they've connected. So these are how the pattern will look like. Now I can just extend this. Now if you notice on this pattern, the only difference on this pattern with this unpivoted one is just the fact that this opening here was reduced. So this was the original opening on our pattern, and after pivoting it was reduced to this. Now you can also check if your pattern pivoting is correct. You can use your measuring tape or your ruler. You measure from this point to the edge or to the straight line. So now once we do that, I got 5 centimeters. Now I'll also check on my pattern. Now when I check on my pattern, what do I have here? I also have 5 centimeters. That's to say I pivoted the pattern and the dimension of the pattern was still intact. So this was the old place that was compressed. So now I can just extend this and also extend this. Now connect this broken line and also connect this. So now here we have our pattern for derby shoe. So we've been able to successfully pivot this to this. Now I'll just cut this out to show you guys how it is assembled. Now place it like this. Alright, thank you guys for watching. Please like, share, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel. And also, if you have any question, please leave it on the comment section and I sure will respond. Thank you once again. See you guys in the next video. Bye.